China's President Xi Jinping is set to visit the Philippines for the first time on November 20 to 21. MILF Chairman Hadj Murab Ebrahim makes historic visit to military headquarters. And truckers group starts its 6-day holiday against planned phased out of old trucks and port congestion. Good evening. Chinese President Xi Jinping will embark on his first state visit in the Philippines under the Duterte administration on Tuesday. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
China's President Xi Jinping is set to arrive on Tuesday, November 20 for a 2-day state visit through a personal invitation from President Rodrigo Duterte. This is the first time that a Chinese president will set foot on Philippine soil after 13 years since the state visit of former Chinese President Hu Jintao during the time of then-President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo in 2005. She is the fourth Chinese president to visit the country since the Philippines and China's diplomatic ties were established over 4 decades ago. The two countries' diplomatic ties went through rough sails when tensions over territorial claims escalated. Xi and Duterte's meetings are expected to rekindle ties and bolster cooperation between the two countries. President Xi said in a statement that his visit aims to have in-depth discussions with Duterte on intensifying the all-round cooperation of the two countries. The Department of Foreign Affairs earlier announced that the highlight of Xi's visit will be the Philippines signing in to China's Belt and Road Initiative, a development strategy that involves massive infrastructure development as well as trade and investments in countries in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the South Pacific. Various agreements are also expected to be signed between the two governments, including those related to China's commitment to fund the Duterte administration's infrastructure projects. Though China's offer will bring huge benefits to the Philippines, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez clarified that the provisions of the Belt and Road Initiative and other deals will still be reviewed before final signing.
With those remarks, we will certainly review it again, this Belt and Road Agreement, but essentially, from our point of view, it will not compromise our sovereignty, and it will be quite helpful to everybody.
Xi is also expected to lay a wreath at Rizal Monument on Tuesday afternoon. A joint press statement and restricted meeting will also be held by Duterte and Xi in Malacanang. Last in the schedule is a state banquet for the Chinese president. On Wednesday, President Xi will meet with House Speaker Arroyo and Senate President Vicente Soto III before departing for China. Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Leaders of the Asia-Pacific economies were unable to agree on a communique at a summit in Papua New Guinea on a Sunday as deep divisions between the United States and China over trade and investment dominated the meeting. The group's website shows that a leaders' declaration has been issued after every annual APEC leaders meeting since the first in 1993. But this year, Papua New Guinea Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said that as APEC host, he would release a chairman's statement instead. Competition between the United States and China over the Pacific was also thrown into focus at the meeting in Papua New Guinea, with Western allies launching a coordinated response to China's Belt and Road program, promising to jointly fund a $1.7 billion electrification and internet project in PNG. At a Pacific Island Forum held in September, there was a similar dispute when China's envoy demanded to be allowed to address the forum before the Prime Minister of Tuvalu. Meanwhile, Moro Islamic Liberation Front Chairman Hadj Murab Ebrahim makes history when he visited the headquarters of the Armed Forces of the Philippines today. Joanano tells us why.
For the first time in history, a top official of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front sets foot in military headquarters in Camp Aguinaldo. MILF Chairman Hadj Murad Ebrahim's visit comes more than a month before a plebiscite on the Bangsamoro Organic Law is set to be conducted. Murad was given arrival honors led by Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff Carlito Galvez Jr. General Galvez says the visit of the rebel group leader proves the MILF's trust and sincerity to the military. Murad also clarifies that they are not treating the military as their enemy, but rather the cases of oppression and injustice in the Bangsamoro community.
Let me be clear with our policy from the very beginning. We have never considered the armed forces of the Philippines or any soldier of the Republic as our enemy. What we have always considered as the enemy is oppression and injustice.
Murad and Galvez both vow to strengthen the MILF and AFP's cooperation to achieve enduring peace in Mindanao.
Ang namin is yung assurance, considering also that I will be retiring in the next I think 22 days. And I'm reassuring that the MILF that the Armed Forces of the Philippines will fully support, despite who will be the leader, all tactical considerations will be undertaken on the strategic implications of things on the peace process.
Now we see that there is a change of policy in the armed forces of the Philippines, and this policy is in line with the policy of the government to achieve peace.
The AFP and MILF are set to conduct a series of dialogues and create a joint peace and security team to fast-track the peace process. The MILF is also preparing for the upcoming plebiscite on the Bangsamoro Organic Law set in January 2019. The two parties are confident that the said referendum will be peaceful and orderly. They also ask for the cooperation of the Bangsamoro community.
In the plebiscite, it is more an exercise of just expressing the will of the people. So we hope that the violence may not be as bad as the regular elections in many cases.
General Galvez will serve as a consultant of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the peace process for the upcoming plebiscite after his retirement in December. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The military intensifies its operation against the terrorist Abu Sayyaf group following their encounter in Sulu that left 15 people dead and 24 others injured. Here's why from Dante Amento.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines admits that terrorism remains a threat. This is the reason why the military is not stopping at finding ways to solve the problem, especially in Sulu, which until now remains a stronghold of the Abu Sayyaf group.
Yung last na briefing namin sa Manila, talagang inano ko doon na Sulu talaga ang medyo isang sa mga malaking problema natin. We are gaining headway in Tawi-Tawi, also in Basilan, but still, as I am saying, na dahil nga talagang ang Sulu ay isa sa pinaka powerful island natin, yan ang isa sa mga challenges na sinasabi namin sa West Micom na we have to solve.
On Sunday, Galvez visited the soldiers who are members of the Joint Task Force Sulu in Camp Navarro General Hospital in Zamboanga City, who were injured in two separate encounters on Friday and Saturday. They were accorded with the Wounded Soldiers Medal and cash assistance. Based on the military's latest count of casualties, there were 5 soldiers killed in action and 24 wounded in action in the encounters. Meanwhile, 10 people were killed on the part of the rebels.
Malapitan Pagka malapitan ng firefight, so ang laki na probability talaga ng casualty. So nakita naman natin lumaban ang ating mga sundalo.
The AFP assures that their intensified operations will continue in order to rescue the remaining 6 hostages of the ASG. 4 of them are Filipinos and 2 foreigners, including a Dutch and Vietnamese national. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue, Zamboanga City.
A truckers group warns to prolong their protest action beyond their initial plan of 6 days against impending phase-out of trucks and port congestion at the Manila port area. Monokson tells us why.
Thousands of truckers at Manila port area have started a week-long protest by stopping operations on Monday. The massive protest action is in opposition to the impending phase-out of trucks and the worsening problem of container congestion at Manila port area. Joining the truckers are brokers who are also suffering from the inconveniences of overloading ports. Truck drivers park their vehicles along Road 10 of the port with banners showing their grievances. The protesters plan to extend the truck holiday in the next 5 days. However, they warned to prolong the protest action if the government will not act on their concerns.
Hindi po tayo papayag sa mga laway na lang po. Kagaya po ng dating nangyari na kinakausap po tayo, pinapakalma, hindi po. Talagang konkretong solusyon po ang kailangan po natin dito.
But despite their call to stop operations, some truckers groups still insisted to deliver shipment outside the port area. The shipment was released last weekend, but its delivery was delayed due to the port congestion.
Wala, di talaga kayo mabiyahe. Sa mga truck namin, ako lang bumiyahe kasi napending nga lang ako sa loob.
According to the Philippine Ports Authority, the volume of container traffic in the port area increased by 9%, or equivalent to 4.3 million 20-foot equivalent units due to domestic trade. Meanwhile, foreign trade has already contributed an additional 8% or 2.5 million 20-foot equivalent units, which resulted in thousands of containers stuck in ports in Manila and Camanava. According to the Association of International Shipping Lines, the scenario is common during bear months when exportation is at its peak. AISL President Patrick Rheena says they have no way of solving the problem as they cannot have more space to extend the container yard in Metro Manila. Rheena said the newly built container yard in Bulacan is not accessible to truckers, especially those that deliver goods.
Ang mangyayari kasi dyan, tataas yung cost of truck. Hindi mo it is a little farther away. But what can we do? Yun lang may area na available. As of now kasi, talagang wala na lugar doon sa mga existing locations.
As of press time, truckers are still waiting for a response from the government regarding their concerns. Monokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board will begin to hear this week the petition filed by a consumers group seeking to roll back the minimum fare in jeepneys. Victor Cosare tells us why.
For 6 consecutive weeks now, the domestic prices of petroleum products have gone down to reflect the downward trend in the world market. Oil firms have slashed anew the price of gasoline by 1 peso and 30 centavos per liter and diesel by 1 peso and 10 centavos per liter beginning Sunday. The Department of Energy attributes the continuing decline to the ample supply of oil in the international market amid tensions between the United States and oil-producing Iran.
Ito lahat attributed sa merong ample supply talaga ang international market natin. Kasi despite yung sanction kay Iran, may nag-issue ng waiver ang United States sa 8 bansa na kumukuha kay Iran. So, ibig sabihin, hindi na-apektuhan ang supply sa international market. Kaya maganda din ang presyo pa.
The crude oil inventory in the U.S. also remains high. With the continuing slump in oil prices, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is poised to hear this week the petition filed by United Filipino Consumer and Commuters Group seeking to roll back the minimum fare in jeepneys. From the current 10 pesos, the group wants to return the basic jeepney fare to 8 pesos.
Wala rin kasi magagawa eh. Kasi tataas pa mo
Kasi ang hirap kaya ng pera ngayon.
The DOE meanwhile hopes that the downtrend in oil prices will continue until the end of the year, although oil-producing nations will not let it slide further as this will have negative impact to their economies.
Yung mga aksyon ng mga OPEC and non-OPEC countries, kasi may plano din naman silang meeting this coming December para makita nila kung balanse ang merkado. Hindi magpwedeng sumadsad talaga, pabayaan nila dahil talagang alam naman natin na itong petroleum products sa commodity ng lahat.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
An avid viewer of a Song of Praise songwriting competition from Laguna is now a step away to the ASOP Year 8 Grand Finals. Leslie Longboan tells us why.
Watching a Song of Praise or ASOP Music Festival has been a weekly habit of Thio from Laguna. He says watching the program enriches his knowledge in songwriting.
Wala ko pinapalapas na linggo kasi natutuwa po kay Doc Man. Yeah. Kasi ang dami ko natutunan. Nagkaroon ako lalo ng gana sa paggawa ng kanta kasi ang dami ko natutunan talaga sa kanya.
Last night's ASOP episode was special for Thio because this time he was not just a viewer but a contestant and a winner with his entry Ang Dahilan Ay Ikaw.
Ikaw ang dahilan, Panginoon ng aking pasasalamat. Ikaw ang dahilan, Panginoon, kung bakit ako nabubuhay.
Meanwhile, interpreter Mariel Mamaklay also feels blessed with the experience of singing songs of praise.
When I'm here, I feel at home, I feel that I belong, and I feel that I'm near to God. So that's a blessing for me and as a musician.
Ang Dahilan Ay Ikaw advances to the monthly finals next week when the first grand finalist of ASOP Year 8 will be revealed. Leslie Longboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on One News. The Department of Education clarifies the Korean language will not replace Filipino subject in basic education. And Malacanang urges the government offices and state universities and colleges to support President Duterte's war on drugs. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of One News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo Castro III and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I'm Angelo Castro III. Here are the headlines. The National Telecommunications Commission confirms Ms. Latel as the country's new major telco player. The Senate and the lower house failed to agree on some provisions under the Universal Health Care Bill. And the UNTV exclusive, 15 of 21 Filipino seafarers who were stranded in an Indian port for 5 months arrive in Manila. The National Telecommunications Commission officially declares Ms. Latel Consortium as the third player in the country's telecommunications industry. In a resolution released today, the NTC gave Ms. Latel 90 days to submit the necessary requirements after it passed the bidding last November 7. As the country's third telco player, Ms. Latel is expected to provide faster connectivity and a healthy competition against telco giants PLDT and Globe Telecoms. The Ms. Latel Consortium is comprised of Mindanao Islamic Telephone Company, Udena Corporation, Chelsea Logistics, and China Telecom. The Congressional Bicameral Conference Committee failed to approve today the Universal Healthcare Bill. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The two chambers of Congress failed to agree on some provisions of the Universal Healthcare Bill. Because of this, the BICAM delayed the passage of the bill that aims for coverage of all Filipino citizens in the Philippine Health Insurance or PhilHealth. In the House version of the bill, there are equal benefits package for paying and non-paying members of the PhilHealth. The Senate contradicts this provision, believing that this may cause a financial crisis to state insurance.
Yung self-employed, walang employee-employee relationship yan. Walang kaltas-sweldo yan. So kung alam ko naman covered na lahat, ba't ako magbabayad? By doing these two packages, you're preserving the incentive for them to pay.
The Senate panel insists that the paying members of the PhilHealth should have extra or additional incentives. The House panel is open to the said idea. Meanwhile, the Department of Health is concerned on how the said law will be implemented in private hospitals.
Kasi ito babayaran mo, tapos ang gagawin ng private sector, itataas niya yung fees. So na-dilute yung impact ng bayad ng PhilHealth. So I think the way to address this is to really regulate it.
According to Senate Committee on Health and Demography Chairman Joseph Victor Ejercito, there are 5 concerns that need to be agreed upon by the BICAM. He adds that the funds for the said bill should also be tackled by the panel.
On the 3rd or 4th year onwards, we might need additional revenues. Kaya nga, tinutulak ko talaga rin yung additional sin taxes.
The BICAM will resume its deliberation for the passage of the Universal Healthcare Bill next week. By next hearing, the DOH and PhilHealth are expected to ascertain how the new benefit packages and rating is computed in the implementation of the said law. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
15 of the 21 seafarers who were among those left stranded for 5 months in a port in India after their employer declared bankruptcy have returned home safely. The Department of Foreign Affairs assures it is now working to repatriate the remaining group of Filipino seafarers still stuck in Kakinada Port. JL Asayo tells us why in this exclusive report.
Emotions ran high when these Filipino seafarers were able to personally see their families for the first time after their distressing ordeal in an Indian port. 15 of the 21 seafarers stranded in India since June arrived in Manila on Saturday. The Filipino crew members of the MV Evangelia M, a Liberian flag bulk carrier, were stranded in Kakinada Port after they were abandoned by their employer. The Department of Foreign Affairs repatriated them after learning of their situation. The matter was first brought up by the UNTV network to the DFA after the seafarers sent a photo of them holding a makeshift banner asking for rescue.
Sa naranasan kasi talaga namin, grabing hirap eh. Yung sa amin, medyo ano pa eh. Kasi ang purpose talaga is kumita para sa pamilya eh. Minsan, yung talagang todo tipid sa pagkain. Tapos, kawil-kawil din. Para ano lang, makasurvive din.
Nagpapasalamat mi ng malaki. Lalo-lalo na rin sa Panginoon na at saka yung mga taong nagdadasal sa amin na nakauwi mi, lalo na sa mga government agencies na tumutulong rin sa amin.
The DFA says the 6 remaining Filipino seamen will be repatriated as soon as their exit clearances are issued. But according to the group's captain, Alexander Apaw, they are still trying to resolve the matter of their crew's replacement with the local agent Admiral Shipping Agency in India. Apaw says a group of Indian seafarers backed out from the job offer after the shipping agency failed to provide their requested advance payment.
Hindi maganda kung isipin na kami 5 months na walang sahod, sila hindi pa nga nakasampa. Hihingi na ng kasadvance na 1 buwan na sahod nila.
In a statement, the DFA assured that the Philippine Embassy in New Delhi and the Philippine Consulate General in Chennai are working closely with Indian port authorities and the Admiral Shipping Agency for the repatriation and payment of the salaries of the Filipino seafarers. JL Asayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Students in some public schools are starting to learn to speak and write in the Korean language as a result of the Department of Education's decision to include it as an elective subject under the K-12 program. But DepEd clarifies offering Korean language will not replace Filipino subject in basic education. Maya Bermudez tells us why.
안녕하세요. 저는 사만타입니다. 호세 아바드 산토스 고등학교입니다. 만나서 반가워요.
안녕하세요. 저는 에이런입니다. 호세 아바드 산토스 고등학교입니다. 감사합니다.
Samantha and Aaron are fluent in Korean language and can both read Hangul as they undergo Korean class, a program under the K-12 in their schools this school year.
Kapag po nanonood po kami ng K-drama or mga K-pop, naiintindihan na po namin yung mga, parang medyo naiintindihan na po namin yung ibig sabihin ng mga napapanood po namin.
But apart from this is a deeper reason why they selected Korean foreign language as their elective as they reached grade 7.
Pangarap ko po kasi na makapagtrabaho sa Korea or makapag-aral po sa Korea para po mas maging madali na rin po sa akin makapag-communicate po sa kanila kung sakaling makapunta po ako doon.
For teacher Cherlin, asking her students to watch K-drama or listen to K-pop songs are not required anymore as they take the initiative to learn to do it.
Globally, lumalabas talaga ang mga Pilipino. So, part of being on edge na to be competitive, may alam ka na sa, let's say, most of them, let's say, why do you want to study Korean? Because I like to travel, I like to go to Korea.
But the Department of Education or DepEd clarifies, contrary to popular reaction on social media, Korean language will not become a replacement to Filipino subject as they initially offered the program to 10 schools in the country.
Again, Korean is an elective or a special program na dinagdag po natin sa mga foreign languages na existing na noong 2009 pa. Ano po yung 5 pa? German, Mandarin, Nihongo, French, and Spanish. And now we have Korean.
From kindergarten to grade 3, the mother tongue or local dialects are used in teaching several subjects in schools in the country. And contrary to popular opinion in social media, the agency strengthens the Filipino language as they take measures to bring it closer to the students.
Hindi po papalitan ng Korean language ang ating Filipino language. Definitely not. Because the Department of Education is actually enhancing and improving our Filipino and Panitikan as a core subject. So major po yan, ibig sabihin walang bata na magtatapos ng K-12 na hindi mag-aaral ng Filipino at Panitikan kasi siya po ay core subjects.
Aside from Filipino, 2 more subjects are using the national language as a medium in teaching such as Araling Panlipunan, which tackles history and culture, and Edukasyong Pagpapakatao, which discusses values formation. Maya Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The Boracay Interagency Task Force, along with some stakeholders in the island, will conduct a free will cutting of cable and internet wires along the roads of Boracay. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
The government's rehabilitation efforts continue in the island of Boracay. Other than cleaning the sea and monitoring if the environmental laws and the new guidelines are being followed by establishments, the next thing that the task force plans to put in order is to eradicate the eyesore created by the TV, internet, and telephone cables, which was pointed out by some tourists who visited the island.
I know it's not quite finished yet, and all the electrical wiring looks so much tidier and safer. It feels like it's never been closed though. It's still really, really busy.
For this reason, a free will cutting will be conducted by the task force and the DPWH starting November 30. According to DENR Undersecretary Sherwin Rigor, there will be 3 phases for the clearing and reorganization of the spaghetti wires in Boracay.
One phase is yung tatanggalin mo na yung mga spaghetti wires. Tapos, simultaneously, kinakabit mo yung bago. Tapos, pag nakabit na nila yun, mag-i-start sila by January, yung plano ng pagkakabit underground. Dahil hindi pa tapos yung mga poste, yung sidewalk, at saka yung mga konting drainage.
The task force has started sending notices to telcos on the island, giving them until November 30 to start reorganizing the unruly cables. If the telcos fail to meet the deadline, the task force and the DPWH themselves will commence the cutting of the so-called spaghetti wires. The cost of the project will also be shouldered by the telco companies.
Welcome yung receive nilang ganon. They wanted that. Dagdag lang gas sa kanila. Pero explain namin, tulong nyo na yan kay Boracay.
The task force plans to eventually make the cables of the telephone, internet, and cable TV providers to be installed underground before the end of 2019. The rearranging of the spaghetti wires in Boracay is also part of the rehabilitation efforts of the government in cooperation with the Boracay stakeholders to make the island roads clean, organized, and prevent any mishap that may occur due to these chaotic cables. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
Malacanang has ordered government offices to actively participate in the anti-illegal drugs campaign of the government. As stated in Memorandum Circular Number 53 of Malacanang, the said offices should utilize their assets to support the campaign against illegal drugs of the Duterte administration based on their own mandate. The order also covers agencies, including government-owned and controlled corporations and state universities and colleges. The Armed Forces of the Philippines keeps its early lead while the PNP responders score another win as the second round of eliminations of the UNTV Cup Season 7 begins. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
The AFP Cavaliers has prolonged its winning streak to 6 after downing the NHA Builders during the second round of eliminations of the UNTV Cup 7th edition that commenced on Sunday. The AFP Cavaliers broke down the defense of NHA Builders 90-81 to maintain their early lead in the tourney as they gun for this season's title. AFP head coach Corporal Cornelio Sani Manukat attributes their latest victory to rigorous trainings to step up their defense and offense plays against the NHA Gunners.
Nung first half, lamang sila. Kinausap ko lang, sabi ko, mag-step up yung defense namin. Saka gawin lang namin yung game plan. At least nagawa namin second half, nakabalik kami.
Na-disorient yung mga player ko.
Darwin Cordero and Boyd Bautista were hailed as the best players of the game after bucketing 22 and 17 points respectively. The DA Food Masters meanwhile absorbed its second defeat after clashing with the PNP responders in the second set, 82-79. PNP's Harold Santa Cruz says the responders scored another notch before they stayed in their game plan, which involves guarding and blocking Foodmasters' key shooters.
Talagang minarkahan namin ng mga shooters nila, so kailangan namin mag-adjust. Sabi ko, kailangan pa natin higpitan ang depensa natin.
First 3 quarters hindi kami naglaro. Hindi kami lumaban sa depensa. Hindi namin inatake yung opensa nila. Naglaro lang kami ng 4th quarter.
Rookie team PITC Global Traders, on the other hand, clinched its 3rd victory of the season after clobbering the 2-time champion Judiciary Magis in the hard-turned first game 74-72. Hadj Porto led the PITC with his 22-point finish, earning the best player of the game title.
Medyo kinapos yung yung team namin hindi yung tira ni Porto medyo napabayaan maluwag ang depensa.
PITC coach Victor Ecasiano chalked up their latest victory to hard work and breaks of the game.
Wala, definitely hard work lang. We were lucky that our shot went in after so many tight score.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. Search continues for over 1,000 persons who went missing after California's deadliest wildfire. Charity blocks cafe users from using toilet to highlight lack of toilet access across the globe. And India's first elephant hospital opens for business. And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with Thio. I'm Angelo Castro III. Good evening.